and welcome to Comic Book Day. I'm Joe, and this is the show where I'm showing off all the new comics I bought this week, and I'm, talking about comics. Sorry, I didn't have an episode last week. I just got too busy. I did buy comics last week, definitely, but I just didn't have time to really read that many of them, or to really make the show. But I'm back this week, but this week I have a pretty small stack of comics, actually. First, I've got AllStar Batman number 13. This has been pretty good. It's, still the first Ally storyline, but it's pretty awesome. It goes through and shows where Alfred was kind of this, kind of like Batman, but for the British government. It's like a super secret program, and he would have been trained to be this guy who's out on his own, but knows how to fight and knows how to mend himself and take care of himself. And so it's kind of, given a little more explanation into, Alfred's military service. That's always been, a big part of his character. I think for a really long time, probably. But yeah, now it's going through and exploring that actually he kind of was his own Batman, or was supposed to be. It's kind of revealing where, how he ended up dropping out of that program too. And his mentor from that program is now kind of a bad guy and is trying to take Batman to turn him into his own, version of, I don't remember really what they're calling it. They were calling it the Black Knight, kind of, but I don't think that that's officially what the title was. It was a couple issues back, though, maybe when they named what, Alfred would have been if he had gone through this program. But yeah, it's been really good, and I don't know, there's always a little second kind of small story that's at the back of All-Star Batman. It's one thing that's, cool about this comic, but I haven't really enjoyed this little backup story. It's just Batman trying to stop, this Russian mobsters from selling all these guns into Gotham. And I don't know, it hasn't been that exciting. Hopefully, maybe, I think it's going to run, for as long as the first Ally storyline is running. So hopefully next time it's a little bit better. This is Secret Empire number 10. This was exciting because this is the finale of Secret Empire. And all in all, I thought it was pretty good. I always kind of expected that this is going to be, pretty spoiler heavy. If you haven't read Secret Empire, go out and read it. But there's already, I saw an article, I think last week, that someone at Marvel had revealed, the end of Secret Empire, just like in a newspaper interview. So yeah, I managed to not find out what that, spoiler was. But I'm going to talk about it here, so if you haven't read this comic and want to, go read it. But I always kind of figured that, it was going to end with them using the Cosmic Cube to beat the evil Steve Rogers. That's how he was created in the first place. But, it was fun to see how they kind of, managed to actually do that. And, they had some good twists. Bringing Bucky back was kind of cool, or Winter Soldier, whatever you want to call him. Bucky sounds a little, I don't know, childish compared to, the Winter Soldier is this assassin now. But I really like seeing how they showed how the evil Steve Rogers was able to lift Thor's hammer. I'm not going to really reveal that, I guess, but yeah, it was cool that, it was just kind of this trickery that allowed him to be able to lift that, and that was really what ended up making people think that he was maybe doing the right thing ever. And then the very end, the final fight, is really crazy because it's between the evil Captain America and now a good Steve Rogers, who has been brought back into existence by Kobik, the Cosmic Cube, come to life, and so yeah. They didn't really answer, though, and I really wonder about this, they didn't answer what happened, really, to the evil Steve Rogers. At the end of this, Captain America hits him with Thor's hammer and takes him down, but they didn't show that he died, they didn't show that he, was erased from all of time, because Kobik went through and fixed kind of, all of the proper timeline, But it was interesting, actually, how much of the world was still kind of destroyed. There's no Las Vegas now, still, in the Marvel universe, because Steve Rogers destroyed it, and they left it destroyed by the end, which that was really surprising, because I figured, oh, they'll go through and undo everything. You know, every character that gets killed, it's not going to matter, and, you know, that whole Las Vegas being wiped out would be completely fixed, I thought, by the end. But they didn't fix everything, so it'll be kind of interesting to see going forward how much kind of ramifications this will have. I know that they are going to do a couple more. They at least have one more thing coming out that's going to, you know, kind of wrap up Secret Empire a little more. And I think this week's this week's issue of Deadpool, I think, had a lot of that kind of, you know, cleaning up after Secret Empire kind of stuff. I did not buy Deadpool, though. This is Spider-Gwen number 23. I really like the cover of this one. Actually, this is one of my favorite Spider-Gwen covers probably at all. This whole issue takes a break, though, from the normal Spider-Gwen storyline, and it just follows her friends and bandmates, Mary Jane Watson, Glory Grant, and Betty Brant. I don't know why they had those two names so similar. I mean, I know that Stan Lee loves alliteration. You got your Peter Parker, your Betty Brant. You know, there's a ton. It especially seems like in Spider-Man. There's some Robbie Robertson, J. Jonah Jameson. But Brant and Grant are very similar names, and I think they are characters that are introduced kind of around the same time. They're both really early on, you know, old characters. But yeah, in Spider-Gwen's universe, they are part of her band, or, you know, they're all part of a band, the Mary Janes. Obviously, it's not Gwen's band. But yeah, this followed them around, and it's just like a little adventure of them trying to get to a gig, and then, like, running into a party where Mary Jane's not wanted, and this one guy's trying way too hard to hit on Betty. And yeah, it has actually some action in it, even though it doesn't feature Gwen at all. And yeah, I really enjoyed this kind of, you know, little break from it. It also had like some different art than normal. It actually had a very kind of like anime feel to it, or you know, a manga. It is printed, so. But it, you know, there's a lot of kind of like different changing facial expressions, a lot more ridiculous than even Spider-Gwen kind of normally is. And yeah, I liked this issue a lot. So that's all the normal comics that I bought for this week. But I did also buy an issue of Image Plus magazine. I bought it because I really was excited. They have a new Wytches storyline. This is just going to be a little story. Well, I guess I should say Image Plus magazine is basically just like a preview of a lot of Image's stuff. It does have interviews with, you know, different Image writers. This one actually has Charlie Adler and Robert Kirkman, interviews with them, and kind of a profile really on Charlie Adler. He's the artist on Walking Dead, but, you know, it's not solely focused on Walking Dead for either of those interviews. And then at the back of these, they have a little story that they're telling. You know, just, it's like 5 or 6 pages long, and then it's kind of, you know, serialized like that. The last volume of Image Plus, this is the first issue of Volume 2. The last volume had this Negan origin story for Walking Dead, and I really wish I had gotten this, but I just didn't know really where to find it to begin with. And then now I was super excited, because here's, you know, a new Wytches storyline. I really loved Wytches. It's by Scott Snyder, and Jock does the artwork on it. It was one of my favorite comics, and it ended, I don't know, year and a half ago. The first story arc did. Now they're finally going to have another story arc come back, and this little story that's in here is just going to be kind of bridging the 2 volumes. So yeah, I don't know how long it's going to last. In here it just says it's going to last until it ends. So hopefully, you know, it goes for a pretty long time, but I'll be excited just to have, you know, a little bit more of Wytches, since it's been such a long wait. hopefully maybe some other comics that I've kind of had a long wait that I've had to, that I enjoy, maybe they'll get to have this same kind of treatment where they have a little story that at least kind of passes the time and bides us. So I wanted to show you some of the artwork from Wytches. Jock is really one of my favorite, I don't know, it's one of my favorite art styles. Probably Jock is one of my favorite artists, really. It's pretty easy to say. But I really like, it's not so much the drawing, although I do think that, it fits very well with Wytches, with like this horror story. I'll zoom in here. But I really like these kind of like splotches of color and the kind of like atmosphere that the background has to it. In one issue of Wytches, they went through and like showed Jock's process kind of, and it is just like he goes through and he draws everything and then he colors everything and then he puts this extra layer, of colors on top of it. And I really like this whole like extra layer. It's almost looks kind of like water paints. It has that kind of pastel-y, lighter kind of color to it, and it's very faded. But I like the look of it, and, there's not a lot of people that do kind of weird, it's not anything that's super necessary, but it just really, like, adds its own unique style. I liked this page a lot. I like how it has this, I don't know if it'll show up great, although the color shows up pretty well on here. I like how it also bleeds out beyond the panels. This extra kind of blotchy color. I'm sure someone might know what this would actually be called. I have no idea though. But I really like all this, extra color that Jock puts on. It adds to this really like creepy atmosphere that I think is great for a comic like Wytches, horror comic, but it just adds a different, it's like a lot more extra work than most comic book artists really seem to do. And I think it's really awesome. So, since I didn't have a lot of comics this week, I figured I would show you something that I did get last week. I think this has been out for a little bit, but I went to a comic book store that I haven't gone to for a while now, and he always kind of has different little free stuff, and I got this. It's a Cosmic Cube from Secret Empire. I don't know how long this has been out, like I said. It could be new, because they just now got the Cosmic Cube kind of assembled in Secret Empire, but it also could have been, released for the first issue or something. I don't know. But I think it's sweet that I got, this free little Cosmic Cube. It's supposed to glow in the dark, but it really does not glow very well at all. So, this is what the Cosmic Cube looks like when it glows in the dark. I've been charging this for about 2 weeks now. I don't know why they made it glow if it wasn't going to glow very well at all. But, it's free, so it was worth it. And that is everything that I got this week. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Sorry that, there was a break last week, but, I'll try not to have it happen too much ever. So, make sure to come back next week for another episode, and as always, you can, leave comic book suggestions that you want me to check out. Leave that down in the comments, and tell me what you thought of any of these comics that, that I bought today. If you like Wytches, tell me about that, because I like finding people that like the same comics that I do. Tell me what you thought about Secret Empire. Did you like the Captain America versus Captain America fight? I don't know. I thought it was cool. I don't know. If you had a better ending idea for Secret Empire, let me know. Because like I said, the Cosmic Cube, it was kind of obvious that was going to happen. And I think there was, there could have been some other ways to end it. So, I don't know. If you got any idea, let me know about that too. And see you next week.